Hi, and welcome to the Holistic Hub with Marie and Martine, a welcoming, nurturing, and soul supporting environment of all things spiritual, energy, and alternative. Our intention is to freely and lovingly share the personal truths, stories, and wisdoms we've gained, hopefully offering any guidance, new perspective, or light bulb moment that you may wish to take away to assist you through the navigation of your journey out of 3D through 4D and toward 5D and beyond.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Holistic Hub with Marie and me, Martine. Welcome back, and thank you all for joining us. So today we are expanding on from last week, in a sense, where we chat a little bit about energy and we chat about the difference between what your energy is and another person's energy. And today we'd really like to share with you some of our techniques on how to hold our energy, on how to keep our vibration in the highest light that it possibly can be kept, in its highest vibration, in the highest frequency, and how you can do this on a daily basis and why it's important on a daily basis. So picking over to you, Marie, let's start with you and what your viewpoints are on all this.
Well, there's plenty, but I'll try and keep it simple. Because again, just to let everybody know what we're trying to do here too is keep it simple. You know, a lot of you probably have got your own skills and your own practices, which are perfect, but we're also putting out there for any new people, as we've said earlier. So we might sound a bit simplistic to some, but again, what we're giving you, as far as I'm concerned anyway, are the basic skills that everybody needs to be referring to, full stop. And once you've got the basic skills to maintain your energy field, to maintain your body, your mind, your emotions functioning in as neutral and a balanced state as possible, you can then choose to expand all your energy capacities and your skills accordingly. But, you know, for me, what I'm going to express now are the really basic starting tools that, you know, you can't go wrong with, full stop. So I don't know, I always feel the best thing every day that any of us can do is, and the most important thing every day to set our day and to set our whole vibratory field, is how we wake up. And, you know, most of us, in truth, will wake up if we're working, busy lives, kids, schools, whatever's going on in our world. And if it's an alarm situation, most people will wake up in the world going, oh, another day. Oh, I've got to get up. Oh, it's cold. It's winter for us. Oh, 5 more minutes. Oh, I've got that thing on today. And if you just take a good look at that alone, that energy that you're then projecting, the minute you open your eyes or you become conscious to your awakening in the morning physical state, you've just projected negative emotions, negative thought patterns. And your thoughts are your energy, and your energy is what creates everything that you're going to see throughout the day. So a really good idea is even to become aware of where your thoughts are, because that's going to change your world to start with. If you recognize, wow, that's me, or no, I wake up feeling quite happy, it's going to be one or the other or somewhere in between. So I know for me in the past, I used to think, oh, and I'd have those mornings, but with knowledge, I went, hang on a minute. If I want to see something positive, I'm the change maker. So I think a really lovely way and a really simple way to set your day, as I said, is just to see how you wake up, and to wake up with even a simple sentence of going, and I do say this, thanks God, thanks Source, I'm awake, I'm here for another day to create on this amazing earth. That's it. And I've set out an intention then and a gratitude that then sets me up for those vibrations to come to me. So that's the first thing I do. With that, I do use the violet flame. So some of you will know the violet flame, you may or may not, doesn't matter. But Martine and I have discussed earlier, we're going to set the violet flame as a separate subject because it's really big and there's a lot of information and stuff that we can really bring in, and we don't want to confuse the simple skill kit, so to speak. So set yourself up for that awakening. And then I do use the violet flame, as I said. And for me, that simply means the violet is like my cleaner. It goes in and I use it to transform, transmute anything less than that I may have picked up in my dream time, or that may be lurking that I don't even realize in my subconscious and unconscious. And again, it's just me being responsible for clearing my field. So that's what I do with kids. It's also when I teach them, it's like they put it on like a cloak, and it becomes like their superhero cloak that once they've got it on, it really blocks negative stuff coming towards them. So that's a simple technique too. So I then use that in the shower as well. In my shower, I then use the water like energy. I put any color ray that I want into it, that I feel that I want in my being. Usually it starts with violet, then I'll go to gold, pinks. Again, I might close my eyes and see the colors. I just bring them in. I intend them in. I might direct them to different parts of my body. I feel my body, how it's feeling. If it feels heavy or if I've got aches, then I might direct the light or my thoughts and my positivity and my love to those pockets of energy. I might be lifting off cloaks of darkness or burden that I feel like I'm weighed down by. Again, feel, and just go with it. No wrong or right here. After that, then I'm in my shield. I get into my geometry, my tube of light, just knowing that I have placed another layer of high energy around me that maintains my field for the day. And that word protection, I feel we need to just watch, because sometimes we can be using that from a fear base that we need to be protected from outside forces. No, we're maintaining us to maintain the highest vibration that we can, so that we'll attract all the things that we wish to at that level. That's the purpose. From then on, I'll be using visualizations in my house, wherever I go, in shopping centers. I'll be with the violet flame wherever I go. I'll have crystals in my on my body, in my pockets. I might be drinking them. I might have made essences. I'll be calling on my unseen team. I'll be calling on my guide, my higher self, my I am presence. I'll be calling to the guides, totems, and loved ones all around me that work with me, support me, and sustain me. I'll be connecting to the Earth Mother and above to Source, so that I know that I have all options and all energies available and coming toward me. So with that in mind, how can I fail? So that's kind of an intro, I suppose, for me. There's probably more, but I'll throw back to Martine now, because I know you probably do similar but different. So what can you add to that, and how do you go about your day?
Well, it's Marie started with her wake up routine. How about I continue with like what I do during the day and then my end of day routine. So my day will start like differently, because I don't usually shower in the morning. I'm like get up and go. And so for me, the number one thing that really brings my energies in is nature. So usually I'm straight outside. I will always make a cup of tea, or make a lemon water, or make a celery juice, or wherever I'm at, whatever I'm on at the time. I will take that down and hang out with the chickens, and go down into the backyard and hang out with my flowers, hang out with my plants, watching them grow. I love just visualizing into the garden and saying, oh, that's coming up, or that's coming up. And like I've been doing lately, I've been literally lighting the fire pit every morning. Every morning I go down there, I'm like, I'm not going to light the fire pit. I'm literally down there for 2 seconds and the fire pit's already blazing. I'm like, I've got to get it going. It's just whatever element is pulling me in the moment is probably more where I'm talking about. Marie talks a lot about water. Water is a very powerful energy for me as well, but I feel like I get a lot of energy through water in the ocean specifically. And so if I feel drawn to either be near the ocean, or if I feel drawn to be in the ocean, I feel like the most important part of my day looks very much like I'm discerning where I need to be and what I need to do. Now, there's obviously things that I have to be at, like, I have to drop my child off at school at a specific time. I have clients on at specific times. But there's a lot within my day that, in the way that I've set my life up, that I can choose where I would like to be in that moment. And, or if I've got a complete day off, which I will always ensure that I've got at least a few of those a week where I don't have anything planned. Someone may have asked me to do something, and like if I'm feeling that the energies in the world are really massive, or if I'm feeling within myself that I'm moving through something, I'll literally be like, can I let you know at the 11th hour, because I may or may not want to do this. I feel for me, it comes down to what feels right in that moment, and I might not know what feels right and until the very last minute. And everyone just has to kind of go along with that. And most people are very aware that that's kind of how I work. And I remember when I first met Marie, and I'd be like, oh, I feel like I maybe need to get on your table, Marie. And she'd be like, let me sit with that. I'll get back to you. And like, no
Still
one
do.
on Marie's table without, like, her having very clear vibes that they need to. So I have a feeling I may have taken a bit of a leap out of your book with that one, Marie, and then taken it to every aspect of my life. And then through the day, I use the flame a lot like Marie does, and I use light, and I'm a very visual person. So I visualize things. It's the main way that I bring in energy. And likewise, if I'm working with someone, I see it visually and then sense it. It's kind of like there's, all of the clairs, so to speak. Are you clairaudient? Are you clairsentient? All of those. I definitely see and feel things very deeply. And so for me, they're my activation tools as well, where I can bring that light in. And taking those moments every day to, if I feel like I need to sit down and close my eyes and see which dimension that I get taken to in that moment. And then towards the end of the day, I would say that, through the day, I'm absolutely cord cutting, and Marie's got some great stories about cord cutting. I might hand back to you as well. I cord cut for various different reasons, but it's the one thing that I do without a shadow of a doubt at the end of the day is it's kind of like as I get into bed, it's like it's the same technique as what I would have if I was have the routine of brushing and flossing my teeth. I get into bed, and in that moment I pull all my energies back to me, and I ask that any energies that don't belong to me are now returned to their subsequent owners. And I feel in that resets me ready for a beautiful night's sleep. And I will often, because my head hits the pillow and I'm ready to retire for the night, meaning that I am ready to go to sleep, then I will also, sit with where I would like to go that night sometimes. Like if I feel as though I've had a massive time, I might sort of say to whoever, whatever we talk about here, that well, I would like to go to the healing temple tonight, or oh, I'm excited, where are we going tonight? I quite often have a little chat as well. So that's where I would like to start. What about you, Marie? Would you like to continue on with cord cutting? And also I'd love to hear your little spiel on, I know we'll do a separate thing on crystals, but yeah, I love when you talk about the dimension that the crystals are and why they are sacred and so important as well.
Yeah. There's so much we can tap here. This is the thing, like, if you can all appreciate that, we'll do our best in these short segments, but there's just such a plethora of avenues that we can take. And hearing Martina, it's like, oh, I could go, yeah. But it's like, oh, where do I start? But simplistically, I feel, again, as we're really, and I think what's really important at the moment is we're in such huge energetic times that we have to, if we're really wanting to move forward, we need to have something that we can rely on. And so, what Martine says, yep, I hear it all, I do it all, I know it all, many of you do. But again, for any newbie people that are sort of just early to the path, have something that you know that you can rely on, that you believe in, and that you know works for you. That's the key. You don't have to know it all, and you don't have to do all this to start with. Just have whatever resonates. And that's the discernment that Martine spoke of. Discern in your heart, in your being, what calls you. And it may be a crystal, and you may feel, you may see, you may do all these things, you may not. And I know many people don't when they start, and they want to, but they feel like, well, I can't, what can I do? I don't do any of that. I don't hear, see, know. Just if you like the flowers outside, as Martine said, if you just feel you love the ocean, if you feel you love a tree, if you just like dancing to music, if nothing else, find just that one thing that brings you joy and it makes you smile and makes you happy. You've just found your vibrational lifter. So do it. You don't have to do the spiritual thing if you don't feel drawn to that, or you don't have that ability, or you're sabotaging in a way as well sometimes. But just find that simple thing that gives you joy, and you're straight away lifted to the heart center. And I feel that's really important just to put out there for all of us, because I know in these times at the moment, we can be really thrust and thrown around in the washing machine, and we can lose our center very quickly. So instead of thinking, oh God, what did they say? What do I have to do? And then you're getting more into the confusion, doubt, and chaos. Just remember, it's okay. I can just breathe, and I've got to just find some joy. I must find that piece of joy somewhere in my world, as small as it can be, that I can just hold on to and believe in. And when you do, you'll take that breath and you'll come back to center, and then the next thing will flow. So I feel that's a really important message in the moment, because many are like, whoa, 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 this pendulum she's swinging of late. So yeah, just to keep that in mind.
And the shoulds, I feel the shoulds are really important to point out here, because we have so many shoulds in our life already. And at the end of the day, they never take us anywhere closer to love. They take us further away from love. And so many people come to me and they say, oh, I know it all, and I should do it, but I don't. And I've got a really cool example of that. I don't like breath work. I don't like it. It will take, I went to a Kundalini yoga practice the other day, and that's basically an entire hour of breath work in various different manners, including like moving your arms in a whole plethora of actions. And I will be
Sounds
there.
Exhausting.
Yeah, I will be there committed to that in that moment. But, it takes a bit for me to sit down and do actual breath work. It's kind of like journaling was for me a few years ago. And I'm sure I'll get there with breath work eventually, but it's not my go-to. I have a whole heap of other things that work well for me, and at this point in time work better for me. So I don't have any attachment to that. I do know that breathing is important. So if I am feeling any of those lower vibrations, such as anxiety, anxiety is definitely something that I can feel if I'm on time restrictions or running late. So what I'll do in that moment is I'll use something really simple that I know brings me back. And sage has always done that for me. Like, I'm very...
How did I forget sage in my list? Oh my God, me forgetting sage.
It's just because it's like it's an attachment. It's like an appendage. But sage is like I'm very odor. Like, I love odors. Like that smell. I don't love bad odors, but I do love. Like, I'm very I love the smell of things. So if I breathe that sage in, it automatically seeps into every ounce of me and brings me back. And that's when I'll remember to go, and then as I start to breathe that deeper breath in, then it's like, you
remember
two really easy steps, and I'm back in a high vibration.
Yeah. And in that smell sense too, I would have loved to have included essential oils, because they are really powerful too in centering. And again, that sentient aspect to just make you take that breath and And, while I'm not a huge, I'm teaching myself because I'm ready. And I know that there's been some deeper sabotage in me about breath work, because it is the transcendental path aspect that I think, I know it's my time to really look at that. And I'm doing that in a multitude of ways at the moment. But, and I'm enjoying it. And that's the key. Enjoy what you're doing. But it is a very quick way to center yourself and to bring you back, just to remember to take a breath. Because when we are stressed and when we are under the pump, the physiology of our body naturally makes us breathe more shallow and more fast, so we don't get the true deep oxygen mana life force into our cellular structure. So to consciously breathe is a really big thing to do, and it's such a wonderful thing to do. And you don't have to take all day at it or an hour at it. It can just be a few breaths and you're back on par again. But we might do a breath meditation at the end, but we'll see. But moving back to the crystal side, again, I think the crystals are just amazing to use. And again, if you're into it, yay. If you're not, doesn't matter. But for those that are, a lot of people still, even while they get rocks and they get the crystals in, or they pick them and they've got lots of them around, there's still this old belief, I feel, or a vibration within people that they're just there to sit pretty. I might pick them up, I might hold them. I'm not quite sure what they do, but they're nice to look at. And which one should I get? How many do I need? When do I use them? So there's lots of questions around crystals, but the real truth is to remember that crystals are energy as well. They are alive and they are breathing and they are consciousness in themselves. They are minimal fourth dimensional energies of consciousness. So they're already above three-dimensional humans. So the crystals usually, as we both know, they will call to you. And again, depends if you're listening or not, if you're in the moment or not, how you choose them. And I know, if we're all being honest, when we might be in a crystal shop, we get that initial one calls us and we go, and we might see it, but then we might be in our head going, oh, it might not be pretty enough. It might be the color that I want. I'll come back to you. And so we're looking for this nicer crystal.
Enough.
Not big enough. But the reality is, your first instinct is your heart center. It is your calling. It's your intuitive knowing. And it's the connection of your heart, that vibration within you, to the consciousness of the crystal that are aligning, going, pick me. And if you've been like me and you really get stuck up here at times, then it might even come off the shelf at you, or it might fall off the shelf, or someone in the shop might say, oh, did you want this? As we know, we have these synchronistic moments, but they are magnificent entities to work with, because again, as consciousness, they hear you. You can direct them, you can talk to them, you can speak with them, you align with them, and you ask to work as one with each other. And their beautiful frequency, as the colors they are raised, they have different emotional, physical qualities, they have different vibrational qualities. They're usually raised specific to the chakras. There's more colors coming in now as more are being discovered in the earth, because it's time, because they are higher vibrational energy again, and we're raising to meet them. But they're magnificent to use. And again, you can have your go-tos. This is my go-to since about, I don't know, in the 1990s, this crystal came to me, and it's been in my hand every moment that I work, every group. It just sits in my left hand. I've usually got another one as well I work with now, but this is my beautiful quartz that came from New Zealand to me. And I've watched the growth inside it. I program the quartz, your all-rounder crystals, I would say, your clear quartzes, amethyst, citrine, smoky quartz, rose quartz. They would be the 5 go-to. And now I would throw in black tourmaline as a good cleanser. I call it the garbage collector. So 6 of them. But they can just be a basic kit, and they will cover all your chakras and all your needs. And some crystals, such as clear quartz and amethyst and citrine, can be used on all chakras. And you can program them all, and they will work accordingly. So again, don't play with everything. Play with don't get caught up on stuff. Don't think you have to know everything from books and people, because in truth, you already know it. And just keep relaxing into this journey, feel your way, discern what feels right for you. And as Martine said earlier, like, some things in the moment work now, and then next week you're onto something else. And it doesn't mean that, oh, that doesn't work anymore. It just means your vibration shifted and the next thing's ready for you to play with. And just keep that energy of play, I feel, around you. Enjoy this walk. It's not meant to be heavy and hard. Again, our head can create what we see, and it does create what we see, what we believe, what we think is what we get. So watch what you're saying and what you're putting out there, because it's very incremental to the experiences that you are facing and walking through. Is there anything about crystals that you wanted me to add to that?
No, I wanted you to sort of talk about that fourth dimensional frequency, and I feel like we'll do a separate segment on like the crystals and what you mean by programming and stuff. Like, I certainly, like when I was doing a healing yesterday, I didn't even choose them wisely. I literally I have all my crystals up on the shelf here, and I just went bop, 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 like, and I didn't sit there and program them. They just had to go on there, and I was like looking at her on the table going, that's rather busy looking crystal collection with that, so there's lots of ways in which I'll use them as well, but a lot of the time it's not I don't sit there and have this massive conscious overload about what I'm doing with this crystal and how it's processing. I literally pick them up, and this is like the crystal of our month. Like I do a 7-month workshop, and we're in the throat chakra this month, and this is a beautiful lapis lazuli that I'm getting to know, and so it's with me all the time at the moment while I get to know that and see its vibration, but also what it has to show me about my throat chakra. So sometimes I just work with them like that, like I do everything. I am such an inquisitive soul, and I always have been, and I think that's where my mother and I used to get into a lot of trouble, because I was an interrogator even back as a child, and I don't think she could handle all the interrogation. And I feel as though I do this every day. Like I'm intrigued. I'm like, oh, what have you got to teach me? Oh, what have you got to teach me? Or if something changes in my world, or if someone cancels, I'm literally like, oh, what's going to happen next? I get kind of excited about it. And, it's been a lesson of trust moving through clinic in that way over the years, because I'll have clients cancel, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, a client has cancelled, like what's happening there? And then literally a day later someone will take that position, and you'll know on the day why they needed that more than the other person. So I feel like just playing around with energy like that is kind of like joyous in itself, and it makes it light, where you become intrigued by it. So I'd say that's my bonus tool for you. My bonus tool is get intrigued.
Yeah. Well, I know, and I'm going to just go back on the crystals here. I know over the years when I was nursing even, and I was using crystals, and I worked in an area in the hospital where we did tests on the heart. So we had a lot of radiology type equipment and big heavy duty energy stuff there in a physical sense, in a physics sense. But I used to take in crystals to the unit, and I would place them on the X-ray machines. And we used to have, the scientific offices. And I always remember this one story. This guy who he and I used to chat all the time, but he was, really straight, really, in his little box, very much, medical, boom, boom, boom. And I would drop things even in my early days about energy and, what we can do and how these crystals work. And he was like, until one day I put actually on the system, and I think I only put a smoky quartz because I didn't even know about black tourmaline or, any such garbage collectors then. And just the smoky quartz. And he said, well, what's that? And so I told him, and I just said, just sit with it. Just let it, don't have to touch it. Don't even have to believe it. I don't care. But I'd like to put it there because I just had this feeling there was an opportunity. Anyway, so I went in and I was scrubbing like a theatre then, and I came out and didn't think about it, to be honest. And he called me over and he said, what's this thing called? And I said, what do you mean? What, the crystal? He said, yeah, what's it called? And I said, smoky quartz. He said, what's it meant to do? So I told him, and I said, why are you interested all of a sudden? He said, because I picked that crystal up. And he said, it's hot. it's really hot. Why is it hot? And I said, oh, I said, it's working. He said, what do you mean it's working? So we had this then discussion about the properties of what the crystal can do, how it's working, how its energy is conscious, and how it's clearing. And smoky quartz will also do clearings. And it was picking up on all the less than frequencies of anything 3D and downward, and it was transmuting them and raising them. So like as any energy produces a heat. So while that crystal's working, he, in his higher self, and what he had to learn was he had to connect the heat. And then he was sort of bewildered yet amazed by this. And I know how it shifted him. It didn't go off into the spiritual realm, I'm not saying that, but I know it made an impact to him in making him think in a different way. And, you know, everyone will pick up and learn in their own unique fashion. And this is the beauty of us, again, in our own capacity as our purpose and our path, that might have sent like nothing. But at the same time, I knew then I was listening. I knew what I had to do intuitively. I didn't have an attachment to the outcome, which means he could experience whatever his soul chose to do in that moment. And that crystal was a great teaching opportunity, I think, for a few people that day. So we've got these incredible opportunities if we're open, and if we just allow, and we don't have any, as I said, attachments to people or go in teaching them about stuff, you know, just let them find it in their own way. If they're meant to, they will. If they don't, they don't, you know, and that's pretty much how I flow with the river of life these days. It doesn't bother me. If you get it, you don't, that's your journey. But I know the path I'm on, and I'm here when you need it. But they're wonderful teachers. And I mean, if I go down here now, you will always find a crystal in my boob. And in that same vein, if you could feel this, it sits just near my thymus where I place it in my bra. It's right up high in my thymus. It's burning. So again, I know it's working directly with my heart, and it's a very high Herkimer diamond. But I know for me, it's an antenna through my heart to higher frequencies and attunement to the truth and to love.
Whereas I always keep mine in my pockets. So mine obviously need to be down in that lower
base
frequency. And when I, without a shadow of a doubt, put anything in the wash, I have to empty the pocket. There's no tissues in there, just crystals.
Clunk, clunk, clunk. Oh dear. Yeah. So anyway, well, I think, you know, if we're talking just about, like, you know, this aim was to assist you with the basic skills and to give you ideas what you can use to look after yourself. In that sense, Martine, like, I know you've given us how you would do it, but if you were in a tricky situation, if you were feeling under the pump, you woke up feeling not so great, or you knew something was going to be coming your way that day, that you knew you had to go into a situation, or be it family, work, or I don't know, anything that wasn't going to be lovely and graceful, how would you prepare yourself for that upcoming moment?
Yeah, and again, it depends on how interestingly I've woken up. So let's just revert back to maybe when Isla was younger, when you're a bit more sleep deprived, and going back to what I did to bring myself back in those days as well. And because you'd wake up and you'd be like, oh, okay, well, what, like, you're straight into something to do. So, you know, what do I do in that moment is I spend these little inches coming back to myself, and it's not one big move. It's kind of like, okay, so we've gotten what we needed to get done just to get down the stairs, get the Ugg boots on and get what perhaps she immediately needed. Now, how do I focus on bringing myself back? And in those days, I would find that solitude in like perhaps having a moment within my own mind somehow. So creating some space to be able to just sit in my own thoughts to allow myself to come back. Again, having like a beautiful, nice, nurturing cup of tea, and then going into the nature. I would use homeopathics, of course, back then as well, just one little homeopathic just to allow me to realign with myself as well. And like it would slowly but surely allow me the space to be able to then start to implement the big guns, the tools that actually I feel work the most, which is you'd then remember the violet flame. You'd then remember, checking your energy system and seeing if, you've got any energies that are kind of, I like to sort of see my auric field and tune into my auric field and see kind of what it's doing. And again, separate vote for that. And it will allow me to then continue my day in that high vibe. And I remember I found a little program called Kindling Kids Radio, and every 2 hours they had like a meditation segment where they would just play sort of meditation music, and even that was enough to remind me of my own skills and my own tools that I've got. So again, no big one thing. It's not dissimilar these days. It's just that, I take out the sleep deprivation and I don't rely on certain things to get me back to that point where of remembrance, where I'm using my energy work to bring me back. So I'm not as heavily reliant on, say, a homeopathic to bring me back there, or a lonesome cup of tea to do that. These days it seems to it's like more about intention for me, and it's not a common thing where I don't wake up with that intention, but I certainly notice it when I haven't used the intention. So I would say that intention is my most powerful ally these days for anything. Just like Marie said, coming full circle back to the beginning, how she wakes up in the morning, she intends to have gratitude for the day that's about to happen, for everything that's coming. And it's really as simple as that, where focus goes, energy flows, the end. And if we can remember that simple little tool, then it's the part that reminds us, like this lighting of this candle just behind me, it's setting an intention. Every time that you light it, you can have one when you're going into the kitchen. All these little things that you can make up in your head as tools that are going to just bring you back into your center, are all we need. And they're going to look different for everyone, just like you've heard how different they are from Marie and I, how different, same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it goes back to, remembering the basics of energy. And I think we said this last time, is that energy can't be destroyed. Your first and foremost energy, and the most powerful aspect of that are our thoughts. Our thoughts are our energy. And, many will say, oh, my head's so busy, how can I calm my head? How can I even hear what I'm saying? It's, we have to start with what we can hear. And once we learn how to work with that and find what works for us to calm that and settle us so that we can get a breath, or we can find a sense of peace in our being, in our world. And the more that we intend to grow to do that and become responsible for us and to us, then we can gradually work our way back through the levels of consciousness into deeper and deeper aspects of ourselves, which is what we've come to do. Whether you like it or not, the reality is we all signed up for now. We've all chosen to be here now. There isn't any bad luck. Let that go. There isn't anything or anyone to blame about anything. We've got to start letting that go. And just the minute we come in and we say, well, right, I'm it and I'm going to just work on me, that's your absolute changing masterful point, because you are the change. You are the change maker. And as one person changes, you change for everything around you, because everyone around you is energy as well. We don't come to change anybody, but we are here absolutely to look at ourselves and only work on us. And to do that, we have to be honest. We've got to be prepared. We've got to be willing and be in that space where we are wanting to take up responsibility for us and our actions. And, while we might not know all our thoughts, as I said, all you need to do is just start with now. Where am I right now? Forget about yesterday. Don't get caught up on what happened a week ago, a month ago. It might be hanging around you, but again, as best you can, let them go, because in truth, that's done. And if I always say to my group, my whoever, my loved ones everywhere, whatever happened has happened. And you actually can't go back to that moment in time to change that. And it's like the worry that you might have and the fear of the future, you actually can't go forward to change that. You know, the only thing you can change, looking at those extensions about the potentials and past and future that you can't tap and they're not tangible, the only thing you can do is come now. You can only be present now. Now is the moment that you can look back with different eyes, or you can look forward with great potential and vision eyes about what you want. But here's where you change that. Here's where you take up your power and you shift your energies by your intention to be now and to say, well, right now I can make a choice, and I could choose to think differently about stop worrying about the future, or I can actually make a choice now to say, well, I might not be able to let that go fully yet, but I can see where I can't change that. And any little adaptation is shift. And anything that breaks you free of something that causes you pain, or anything that brings you back out of worry and confusion and chaos of the future, and brings you back to some sort of neutrality again or balance, can only be positive for you. And I think that's where really understanding our energy, it's in the now, that if we can all just bring ourselves back to now and take that breath now and feel precisely where we are right now. And you might hear that, but yeah, I don't know. And you just go, hang on a minute. Come back. Just be now. I can't tell you how many times I had to train myself to do this. This doesn't come overnight. You know, this journey is a training program. It's a whole retraining program of you. And every thought you've ever been told, everything that you ever thought was real and true, you're shifting and realizing, well, hang on a minute. Nobody taught me this stuff. I didn't know this before. Man, what a different world we would have had if we knew that. But that wasn't meant to be then. No. But it is now.
Yeah.
And now is power hour. Now is when you make that shift and when you choose and intend now for what's next to come, be it the next minute, the next day, week, whatever.
And likewise, you can't say that for the future generations. You can't sit there and go, oh my gosh, they're such bundles of energy. They've come into that time, and wherever they are, whatever they're presenting to, you know, like I've got a client at the moment who's got a little girl in hospital, and she's on a massive journey with that. But you know, the truth of everything that's happening within that whole dynamic is that there are things that are being cleared, there are shadows that are coming up, and there are new frequencies that little girl is bringing in to everyone around her, because that is her job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree wholeheartedly. But in hindsight, you know, I can see where cutting ties is another important topic, and maybe we'll make that a topic in itself next with the violet flame, because we don't want to overload. These are meant to be, you know, quick, keep it going, listen in the car, jump out the car and move on. Just great reminders. We're not here for the lecture and the preaching. So I don't know about you, Martine, but I'm feeling today might be a wrap.
Yeah.
And if you're all happy, then we can just do a really quick visualization on the breath and a physical movement with that, just to give you an idea how you feel when you utilize it. And we will be bringing in the violet flame, so do the best you can. If you can't see it, don't sweat. Okay,
I'll just grab my small crystal.
Okay, well, I've just got this one hanging around too. And a few others, but that's okay. All right, so all you need to do is, I just want you to just find yourself, center yourself as I'm doing, be in your space where you know that you're just going to be not attacked or asked about anything for maybe 5 minutes. That's all. And I just want you to bring your attention back to you. And what that means is just sit in that space, lie on that floor, wherever you are right now, and just breathe normally. Just breathe. And just feel your breath. You know, how does it feel to breathe? Have you even noticed when you took your last breath, which you won't have because it's automatic pilot? But every now and then I want you to become more than that and to actually check in with your breath. And is it shallow? Is it deep? Is it slow? Is it short? Does it hurt? If you take a really deep breath now, do your ribs hurt? Because some people do, because they're just shallow breathing. And just feel your body as you're breathing, feel your body. And I love it if you take a really deep breath in and you raise your shoulders up and you really pull your shoulders right up to your ears and you hold it, 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 and then you just, and you let them flop. And then jiggle your shoulders around. And then you might want to do it again. And so take another deep breath and pull them up and 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 hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and then just flop. And do a really just and use your voice. You know, for those of you that want to use your voice, just let it out, because we often don't open our mouth to breathe. And just slow your breath and feel any aches or pains or bits of you. And if you feel like you've got big, heavy weights, feel if you've got something in your back, feel these things I spoke of earlier. If you feel weights, just if you can see or you just feel, just imagine, trust what you get. It might be a big armor, it could be a dark cloak, it might be something heavy on your head, it might be a knife in your back, it might be shackles. Just take them all off. But around you now, I want you to see the violet appear. This beautiful ocean, mist, light, just violet, purple, amethyst, violet. And everything you remove from your being now, as you throw it, watch it just dissolve. Poof, dissipates. That's the power of the violet flame. Transmutes everything instantly. And keep unloading, unload, 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 and just breathe your way through it. And watch this incredible show you're creating. And as you release, and if there are things you've taken out of different parts of your body now, as you breathe in with the violet, on the out breath, I want you to breathe to those points and fill those spaces that you just removed old symbols of energy from, fill them with the violet and clear that space and watch what might rise from you again. Let it go. And just breathe in this beautiful energy into your lung, if nothing else, into that heart chakra. And with the intention, I'm filling myself with this magnificent freedom, transmuting light. And on the out breath, I am releasing and letting go everything that I don't want, that I don't need, and that isn't serving or working for me right now. No judgments attached. And now I want you to see that violet's picking up and it's starting to spin right through, up through your feet like a hurricane tornado, and it's really picking up the intensity and it's spinning furiously on your breath. As you expand and contract with the breath, the violet expands and contracts with you because you're one. And again, you might see other little bits of debris flying now. Let them go. These are how deep this flame works, that you don't even know what it's releasing now. It's just transmuting on your behalf in alignment with your higher self. And we allow that to be, and we thank it. And we can intend with and say, yes, clear everything that's not in my highest divine order now. Thank you. Beloved flame, I am with you. I am that I am. And watch it spinning through the chakras and out your crown and all around you, clearing. And intend now, may my physical, my emotional, my mental, and my grand etheric self receive this gift of violet flame and transmute right throughout all my lower bodies. And may every distortion that I hold unknowingly, every less than frequency on other timelines I'm unaware of that I hold now, may this flame transmute and raise into the highest point of light all that I am across all timelines of space and consciousness now. That I am. Thank you. And know that it is. It's done. And feel your body now. Feel you're lighter. Feel you're clearer. Your head is calmer. And now see above, this beautiful sun appears, sun of 1,000 suns, source itself, just descending the golden light all the way down, the Christ light right in through your crown, through your whole chakra column, throughout all the chakras, all your cells, atoms, molecules, electrons, physical organs. Receive this light. Raise me now. And it descends through your perineum, all the way down to the earth mother. Anchor it into the earth as a tree, as roots, into crystals again, however it is for you. Doesn't matter. It's yours. And know that you are anchored above, you are anchored below. You are filled, connected to source light. The violet is ablaze within and without of you. And now see around you either a divine white tube of light or a star geometry, however it comes, of divine white light, sealing you off and these new frequencies. Allow all. And know that it is done. Give thanks. And as you're ready, just come back to now. Into the room, into your chair, ground down. And you should feel a whole lot calmer and lighter. And that's it for now. How are you there? All good? Well, with that, we might say adieu for this afternoon and leave you with that. And you can just sit in your chair for a few minutes and come back and do your own thing. And we will catch up with you in the next episode. And that will probably be cutting ties and violet flame. And then we can move on into other topics a little bit deeper. So anyway, thanks, Martine.
Thank you. See you guys later. Bye.
Okay, everybody. Bye.